Hi everybody, Sandra here, and today, I'm gonna be reviewing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 because, Marvel, Chris Pratt, Guardians, do I even need to say anything? No, I don't think I do because it's obviously gonna be awesome and hilarious and gut-wrenching and just emotion-driven and everything. So for this review, I'm basically just going to be going over the characters briefly and the plot, then just end it with a bunch of questions that I have, and I know they're just never going to be answered, but you know what? I can hope that one day they might be. So let's just get right into this. For the plot, I understand why the Sovereign was there. It was kind of a way to introduce Ego because obviously, Peter's dad saved him and his friends from getting blown up by the Sovereign because Rocket decided to steal some batteries. So I understand that, but then they kind of just seem to be coming in and out of the plot at different points, and ultimately those scenes I still enjoyed. But for example, in the final battle, all of a sudden they just come, and it seems really random, but you know what, I'm okay with that because the song that was playing when they came in, that was awesome. So problem disappeared, gone, over. I kind of like how they actually didn't have anyone in the actual ships. It was all operated back home in kind of an arcade-ish type of way, kind of I don't know, maybe going with the whole 80s theme vibe. Not entirely sure, but that was really interesting. And I have to say this one thing. I always love going into a movie and just looking at the cinematography because the introduction of the movie was amazing, with the tracking shot just following Baby Groot dancing to Mr. Blue Sky for a couple of minutes. It was pretty lengthy, which I am okay with. And then I just love how he would stop dancing whenever Drax was looking. I don't know why he does that. Maybe he doesn't want people to know he likes dancing, or maybe he just doesn't like it when Drax watches him dance. I'm honestly not sure, but I also love the part when Drax accidentally smashes the speakers because there's this giant monster and Groot is just dancing while the rest of the Guardians are just trying to kill this thing. And then when the speakers are destroyed, Groot just starts trying to hurt Drax. Obviously it's not going to be very effective because, come on, it's Drax the Destroyer. What do you think? If you were the regular size Groot, maybe, but you're this big Groot, I don't think it's going to be very effective. But that was also amazing. The shot, I just loved it. The cinematography overall, it was really amazing, and I love the color scheme and all the bright, vibrant colors. For example, Ego's planet, where it's kind of seems all happy and bright and nice when in actuality it's not really. If you dig a little deeper, you're gonna find some literal bones. Yeah. Ego's got a little bit of baggage, just a little bit after the millions of years he's been alive, but that's okay. For the Ravagers, that plot was also, it was okay. The whole taser face bit, it was pretty funny, but to a point it kind of just got Okay, now, we get it. It's a pretty dumb name. The guy picked Taserface. I don't know what he was thinking, but yeah. But obviously Yondu is a Ravager, so they also had to bring that in for a subplot, which, again, totally fine with. I really liked Kraglin, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. Sean Gunn, James Gunn's brother, also Kirk from Gilmore Girls. Never forget about that. But yeah, I like how they kind of like brought more like meaning to this character, unlike the previous film where he wasn't really there that much. But now, since, spoiler alert, Yondu's dead, I feel like maybe he's kind of taking on the mantle of Yondu now, since Peter did give him his arrow after they burnt Yondu, the funeral thing. So that's really interesting to see the character development. I always love that. You always get to see different sides to a character, and that's great. And speaking about characters, I'm gonna be going over like a few of the characters that I want to talk about and what I thought of them. So, for example, Aisha, like, she was okay. She was pretty bitchy, but obviously that's what's gonna happen when you think like you're the perfect like species and everything. I understand why exactly she would like really hate the Guardians now, because some people were like, it's just batteries, like why the fuck is she like creating Adam Warlock now trying to destroy them? The thing is, since like she makes herself up to be like basically like perfect race and everything, and then if like these regular old people to like in which she perceives as like really tiny, like not perfect at all, like ugh, regular people, no thank you, don't be average, like what Ego said to Peter. Anyways, it makes sense then that if they kind of like trick her and steal like her batteries, obviously she's gonna be really fucking mad. And she can't let this be an example, like, oh, you know what? If those regular people, like, screwed her over, why can't we? So, obviously, she's gonna get really mad, and she can't let that be, like, the image of what the Sovereign is. So, it makes sense why she really wants them dead now. And I believe that she's gonna be returning for Volume 3. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure James Gunn said something about, like, how he, like, wants to bring that whole aspect of the film to the third one, which I'm already excited. Like, a third Guardians. Moving on to Nebula, I really like the new side of her that Gunn brought into this movie, because she's the daughter of Thanos, and it just made the character seem a lot sadder, especially when she was talking about how her father would make her and Gamora fight, and every time that Gamora would win, then he would make her like more robotic, and she was like saying, oh, like I had my brain pulled out of my head and my like eye and stuff. I don't even want to know, although I do want to know how she originally looked then. Like, is any part of her even like the original Nebula or what? But yeah, I really like how Gunn kind of focused more on that sister bond in this movie, because this whole film was basically about family, and how ultimately at the end of the film, Gamora and Nebula are like, they're now on good terms, although she was invited to be a part of the Guardians, and I guess technically she is now, but she just wants to go and kill Thanos. Speaking about Gamora, let's move on to her, shall we? So, obviously in this film, you can clearly tell that she has feelings. for Peter, and he obviously has feelings for her too, but I feel like she's kind of trying to hide that. Although near the end of the film, after everything that they went through, I'm pretty sure now she's a little bit more opened up than before, because, I don't know, she's just been like in a shitty situation her whole life since what Thanos did to her was not cool. But yeah, it's just, again, her and Nebula, I kind of don't want to like restate what I already said, but it was really nice seeing her side of the situation when Nebula was talking about her and Gamora fighting, and then Gamora was like, oh, I was like a little kid, I was just trying to survive, and I was not even thinking about her, and then you can truly see that she's sorry, and the emotions. But yeah, this one's gonna be like, oh, Yondu, Mary Poppins. That was obviously one of the funniest scenes in the film, but to like realize what he actually did and how he kind of went through a redemption, because he knew that when giving Ego his children, like, he knew what he was doing and killing, but he still did it. So then that kind of just brought his character lower and lower, but then he finally stopped with Peter. And how kind of in a way, like, what he said to Peter, he may have been your father, but he wasn't your daddy. That was really sad, because in a way they did have like this father-son bond, even if like it's clearly not that like shown. Possibly for Peter throughout the years, like, he just thought that he took him away and abducted him. He never knew he was supposed to deliver him to his father, and he was probably just a scared little boy trying to survive, but ultimately he was looking for his father all his life, and he was right next to him the whole time. But it's really nice to see how he redeemed himself, and then how the original crew, the other Ravagers like Stallone, they ended up coming to his funeral, and that, I have to admit, I was tearing up a little bit, just a tiny bit. Not like in Logan, but it was still really sad. He had a bunch of amazing quotable moments, and it was just really interesting. Another character, like, their development, Rocket, it was really interesting to see, like, him and Yondu and the bond that they had in this film, because Yondu's like, I know who you are because I am you, boy, because of how, like, both Rocket and Yondu are secretly scared on the inside, but they don't like people knowing that, so they act all tough and, like, kind of a bunch of assholes. And it was just sad at the end of the film when the Guardians were asking where Peter was during the final battle, and then Rocket just, like, told Kraglin to just get the ship going because he didn't want to lose another friend that day, and it was these emotions. Bradley Cooper, like, great. You were great. And Groot, baby Groot. I know people are like, oh, that's probably like Vin Diesel's easiest paycheck by far. I realize that he only says, I am Groot, but when, like, in acting, it probably gets really, really hard for voice acting, because you have to say, like, over and over and over again, and then maybe you're just, like, getting a little bit insane, losing some of your sanity, because you have to say in, like, different ways, different emotions, and it's not some easy paycheck. You obviously have to, like, put your heart and soul into it and try to make it as good as possible, and you're just going over and over and over again, and then it can just get really repetitive, but you want it to make it as perfect as possible. So yeah, baby Groot, obviously amazing. Obviously we get no more baby Groot because in the end credit he was teenage Groot. Maybe that was like a few weeks later, a month later, after this whole film. I don't know necessarily, but clearly in Infinity Wars he's gonna be like a lot bigger than he was in the first Guardians. And Baby Groot by far probably brought most of like the humor into this film, at least for me. I probably laughed the most at the Baby Groot scenes. It's just like adorableness, but also like humor, and it's perfect together. And this whole film, just the character development, because with Drax, you get to see like a new side of him. Obviously in the first film he wasn't as like kind of laughing all the time or being like comedic, but still like he never really truly revealed his real emotions, because during that scene with him and Mantis, it was really sad because he was thinking about his daughter, and then Mantis just touches him and she's overcome with all of these emotions. Obviously though, like, she's only been with Ego her whole life, so she clearly doesn't know these emotions that much, but still, like, seeing her break out in tears is such a different side to Drax, because he's just holding this in. And all these characters have like all these emotions inside, but they clearly give themselves like this one main personality to hide behind so people don't see their true self. And it's just kind of sad when you think about it, and I don't know. But yeah, Mantis, I'm so glad like Gunn brought this character into the film, because she brought kind of an innocent theme, feel, touch to the Guardians, because I just like how ultimately she realized that Ego's plan was bad, and she ended up telling the Guardians this, and to see the change she went through is, the Drax and Mantis scenes were probably mostly like my favorite scenes in the whole film, because it was either like a bunch of laughter just coming off from it, with like the, oh, you're like ugly, but that's a good thing, because then you know that someone really loves you, and then like, you're beautiful also on the inside. Like, come on, man, you gotta be a little bit nicer. But she was a really great character, and I really hope that she's coming back for Infinity Wars. I'm pretty sure she is. So for my final like character, I'm actually like gonna do Peter and Ego at the same time, because their relationship is really what defined this film. Like, for so long, Peter was defined as like not knowing who his father was, and then all of a sudden, like, he finally finds out. And at first, he's suspicious. He's like, why all of a sudden, like, is my dad here now? He could have like found me years ago. But then he kind of just likes the idea, and it's so sad because he's like, he really wants this. So ultimately, he's gonna go into the situation either way, even though he knows that it's most likely gonna end up bad, because like what Gamora said, if he turns out evil, we'll just kill him. That's obviously something great to say, but it's kind of, I know a lot of people really didn't like Ego, but personally I love the character, and I'm sad that he's dead. I don't know if like Marvel could actually resurrect him, but if they did, I would be so happy, because Kurt Russell, he was amazing as Ego, and if they brought him back, I would just take all my money. Just, yes. It's so great. And I actually missed the first 5 minutes of the film the first time I watched it, but the second time I finally like saw it, and then the flashback with like Ego and Meredith, and then you can like truly see that he loves her, and he's been alive for millions of years, and it's kind of sad that when he starts loving Peter's mom, it's kind of like, I feel like in a way it's this new emotion, and then he knows, like, he doesn't want it to get in the way of his plan, which is to spread himself throughout the whole universe. And then he ends up giving Meredith the brain tumor that kills her, which is really sad. It's like, so just because you loved someone, that meant that you had to kill the person? Obviously, Ego doesn't have the best people skills. You can tell that right away. The final, like, battle, I really love how when Ego was, like, kind of creating his body again, and then there's, like, that, I don't know, I don't want to say godly music, although he did refer to himself as a god, but low G. Not the big G, low G. I don't know if it would really make a difference, but apparently it does for a celestial. And it was just really interesting to like see his body come together, like the organs and then the skin, and then although personally I don't know, would Peter's powers really be gone or what? Either way, it was still sad to see Ego die. I have to admit, I know he was evil, but Loki's evil and everyone loves Loki, so just give me this. Just let me like this evil character. But ultimately, in a way, Ego's really sad because, still, when they like revealed the killing Peter's mom part, that was like, what the fuck? That's a real soccer moment. And am I the only one? But I know how Ego is basically just like a giant brain, and then like, he was able to create this whole planet around him, but that really makes me think of the giant brains in Futurama. I don't know if anyone else was thinking that, but I was, and it was really funny. If you watch Futurama and if you know what I mean, then yeah, it's pretty great. Now for all the like questions I have. First of all, do you think that Ego could return to the MCU or not? Tell me your opinion, because like I previously stated, I would love to see him back. Even in a like flashback scene. That's good enough for me. I want to see more Ego. Like maybe even like a Marvel one-shot with more Ego and Meredith and see more of that relationship. Now that would be amazing. Marvel, you should just do that because, yeah. So clearly we see that like Ego's avatar aged, but did he actually spend those, I believe, 26 years searching for Peter, or was he like kind of making more babies, killing more of his babies? I guess maybe not, because he did use Yondu to bring the children to him, but still, I actually want to know, did he actually like care kind of? Obviously he did care for his son, but he also cared to like see if his son had the power in the first place. I don't know if it can be a really awkward situation if Peter actually didn't end up having powers. Like, would he end up just killing all of them, or just, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna like slowly drift away until you leave, or I have to kill you. Also, I really want to know, Ego only visited Earth 3 times, so how long were each of these visits? Because he stated to the Guardians that if he was away from his planet for too long, then this human extension would end up becoming permanent. Although now that's making me think, like, what would happen to, like, this giant brain? Would it just be, like, all of a sudden, like, gone? Who knows? But how long were these visits then? Because if it's just 3 times that he went on to Earth, either he's a very, very, like, sly guy. I don't know, he's very good with the ladies and falling in love, but it's really interesting. Like, did he impregnate Meredith the first visit? If so, what did they end up doing the second 2 visits? This is why I want, like, a Marvel one-shot going more into that relationship, because I would watch that. I would give my money to see that. Please make it happen. It's obviously never gonna happen, but I want to know. These kind of things, these, like, little things, they really interest me. But yeah, now on to the final question, which might be the most, like, what the hell question that I have. During the end credits, and I was kind of sad about the 5 end credits having nothing about Infinity Wars, but in the first Guardians, they didn't really have anything about the other films either, because, I don't know, I feel like Gunn's trying to, like, keep it in its own little bubble, trying not to associate it with, like, the Avengers and stuff, which I think is a good thing, because personally, I like the Guardians more than the Avengers. But anyways, why the hell was Jeff Goldblum in the end credits? I think it was either during Flashlight or Guardians Inferno, where, like, you see, like, the Guardians dancing and stuff. He's there in, like, his Thor Ragnarok outfit. I don't know the character's name, but he was dancing. It's, like, really interesting, and I don't know, I just want to know. So yeah, this was my review. I forgot to mention about the Stan Lee cameo. People say, like, he's one of the Watchers. I'm pretty sure he's just, like, an agent for the Watchers. But I love how he was talking about, like, oh, last time I was a FedEx guy, and then he's just referencing Civil War and the whole Tony Stank thing, but yes. And that's it. Personally, I think that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 was better than the first one. Some people might disagree with my opinion, but I feel like how much deeper the characters were in emotion and the plot, and then just everything, like the sets and the cinematography, all combined, it was just great and amazing, and I'm so excited for when the third one comes out, and I think it's gonna be somewhere around 2020. I'm not entirely sure, but either way, it's definitely gonna be, like, different, because who knows, maybe one of the Guardians will die in Infinity Wars, but we never know what's gonna happen. But thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a huge thumbs up, subscribe to the button below. If you have any opinion, like, on my questions, or if you think you have the answer, just, again, comment what you think might be right or what you believe. And yeah, that's it, and see you later. Yeah.